Okay, welcome to this event playthrough of the Ash Echo storyline Opalor. So in this very first video, we will not play the first story section just yet. I would like to provide you with some overview of the lore that we are about to see. The game of Ash Echoes, the lore is really scattered everywhere. The story will help us to recall stuff here and there, but it's really important that the player ourselves can do this. I do like Opalor, but of course, more specifically, I like the character that came out along with the release of the Opalor story, that is Miss Red Pearl. And although Opalor will not be the storyline immediately released after the conclusion of Chapter 9, there's the issue story after that. I would take this initiative to do this playthrough first, especially since the global server community will never have a chance to actually play this unless they go to the Chinese server. And who knows when the Southeast Asia server will shut down. Okay, back to the topic. Let's first have a look at the timeline. So the game, the story tells us that the story happens in September of 1121. So that is a month after Chapter 9. And by that time, we have already conquered Lokotara. Of course, Seed has suffered some losses, and some new chapter is about to unravel. But then we resumed on a previous quest, which we will talk about later. So we embarked on a trip to Paradise Island Penitentiary, or Paradise Island Prison, PIP, to investigate an abnormal echomancer called Li Xiaotang. The travel plan was that we take a cruise ship arranged by Su Xiao, of course, from Hailin to Diamore, and then we'll meet the personnel from PIP who will bring us to the island. But there we brought the wrong ship, and that led to the story of Celeste Dagas, where we saw Eunice's story. Of course, we finally made it, so we visited and investigated PIP, but then the series of events was triggered, so that was included in Do Not Awaken Nioke. There was a mysterious mist that is about to destroy everything and consume people, so we helped the warden of PIP named Jean Glit Justice, or Jean because she later became a playable character here, to resolve it. Jean consumed some of the dark mist and awakened as a echomancer, a thunder echomancer, of course, and the rest of the power of Nile, or the Black Mist, seems to parasitize a little girl called Sissy, and that leads to the mental simulation part, where Sissy becomes also a playable character. And Seed, our company, helps her to stabilize her ability. We finished this. Upon my return from PIP, Su Xiao arranged a vacation plan for us for pretty much everyone at Seed, and also some close friends came to this holiday at the Jam Beach of Deamore, so that's the event of the trip to the Radiant Signal. For Ash Echoes, this signifies the half-year anniversary. And of course, Titia also became a playable character. Okay, we're looking at more or less the story of Miss Red Pearl. So Miss Red Pearl is affiliated with Shilin Industries, so they are a tandem who most commonly act as an ensemble, as a tandem. So one of them is called Pulse, the other one is called Grey Rust. Are they twins? Are they counterparts where they originate from different worlds? We don't know yet. Something we know is, for example, she helped us with some tasks in Chapter 8, a little bit in Chapter 9, and also a bit earlier after Chapter 4, she performed the surgery for Maidus on our behest to help Midas control better his seed ability because he often lost control before, and then he took out the seed from Midas's body in the surgery and enclosed the seed in a suitcase. So that's why Midas, upon becoming a playable character, always appears with that suitcase. That gives him the seed ability. In chapter 9, especially the first story chapter where we had the recall of the Zoom meeting between us as a representative from C to a few other collaborators, we do not reach an agreement in confronting Loquatara with Shilling Industries. They were the only party that did not vote for us, but still it's 4 votes against 1, so Shilling Industry finally sent Miss Red Pearl, sent Pulse especially for us, so for some peripheral defense system controls. It appears that in future stories the 2 companies' paths may diverge, but Miss Red Pearl seems to be someone that we can reach out to if we want to contact Shilling Industries. Miss Red Pearl never wavered, and she often collaborates with us on a personal capacity. And what's interesting and unique to Miss Red Pearl is that she addresses us as the Little Prophet. And this leads back to the Chinese title of this event. In the Chinese title, it loosely translates into something of an event book where the prophet is slower to realize things, because the prophet usually predicts and foresees things, but here is the other way around. We will investigate, unravel some mysteries around the world of Kthulhut. I'll go with this pronunciation here, Kthulhut. So it's first mentioned very, very early in Ash Echo's lore in the Nexus story. So we met Luminotus in chapter 0, and then some of his stories unfolded. So Cyrus brought him to Red for the registration of Echomancers, and there Luminotus found that we actually are missing a word which exists, but we don't really know yet. So Luminotus traveled from Lavari to Uria and Kthulhut before arriving in Senlo. He describes this unknown world, the 15th world, as a chaotic world in external darkness. And sometimes Aurora appears on the sky every now and then. He suggests that this world, previously unnamed, to be named after the highest tower, after a high tower here called Kthulhut. So it was found, and based on Luminotus's behavior, his body parameters, his data, and his observation, Echomancers from this world can be very mentally stable, and of course their ability might also be unstable, and they can be quite detrimental to our world. So that's the reason Red has asked us, the Seed, to conduct an early Echomancer physical examination for this season. And we also think, since Luminotus carries some Kthulhut characteristics, we'll put in his examination results into the system to try to find a match so we can better screen them and think about ideas to deal with them. And lastly, a highly similar individual was found by the Vein system, and that person is no other than Li Xiaotang. Data suggests that Li Xiaotang at the moment is supposed to be imprisoned in Paradise Island Penitentiary, so that is the motivation for us to go on to the trip for PIP, because eventually we need to think about Kthulhut. And it turns out Li Xiaotang has escaped from PIP a long time ago, and she is actually Begonia, who is an Echomancer working for Seed. End of the story here for Begonia at least, but the story on Kthulhut is still going on. And more mysteries can be found, especially with the release of Si Yang and now Miss Red Pearl. So, as we said, there's a tower, and it seems to be a keeper of the tower. Here I call it a tower keep. There's Niog. It seems to be the nameless mist in Do Not Awaken Niog. So this mist, it seems that it needs to parasitize some people. It used to so people who used to host it include Begonia and Nemofon, and later Sissy. Some were consumed by Jin, making her an echomancer. Some had been coexisting with Sissy, as I said. There is also a Naya, who we believe in Chapter 8 has his power subdued and absorbed by Si Yang or Solstice with the help of Miss Red Pearl. It is also possible that Si Yang has awakened much earlier thanks to this power from Kthulhut, and this power might also explain or might also act as a source for Boreas' awakening to Echomancerhood. If we recall Chapter 5, Boreas wasn't initially an Echomancer, it was his sister Skylar. So they want to conceal this fact, so Boreas just faked his senses and telling people he's the Echomancer, but then the investigation methods have been more advanced. He can no longer stage this lie, so he found a way to force himself to become an Echomancer, and it's very likely that Si Yang was the one who helped him. Okay. For the Opalor story, I stick with the Opalor translation because this is the translation used by the global wiki community, and I respect their translation. Of course, this word doesn't seem to mean anything. The section titles are named by dancing moves. Of course, I don't know dancing. I have to look things up to properly translate them, but they befit the overall elegant impression, this elegant aura of Miss Red Pearl here. And their memory trace art also portrays the two of them dancing, but one of them is holding a knife, a weapon. Okay, so this is the overview of the Opalor story. We'll then come to the playthrough and summary parts.